Well, hey guys, welcome to week 6. Hard to believe we're nearing the middle of week 6. I really like our discussion prompts. You've got a couple of things here, and we'll deal with them in turn. Your discussion prompt, and forgive me while I read to you, but it's essential for what I need to talk with you about. Our discussion prompt is as follows, and it's lengthy. Think about the biases you should be aware of when gathering information from the media. Watch a national news item, either on television or on one of the nationalnewsmedia.com sites this week. Then analyze the story on how you feel the media skewed the content of the article or video and the appeal they tried to make. Was it emotional, attention getting, scandalous, fear mongering, or purely for entertainment value? Notice I didn't ask you if they skewed the context, but how? Do you feel the biases that are intended for a specific do you feel the biases are intended for a specific appeal are unfair to the public? How does that skewing make you feel? Or do you disagree and think that all media reporting is equitable, is pure, and without bias? Well, let me start from there. If you think all media is unbiased, then you need to rethink your position. I'll just say it nicely. Because it is impossible, if not very difficult, to be completely unbiased in anything that we say. Because so much of our language is based upon inflection, much of what we say is based on the way it's communicated. Somebody can say, "Have a nice day." And from the tone of voice and the inflection, you get that they truly mean, "Have a nice day." If, however, somebody says, "Have a nice day," you know that there was a little bit of sarcasm in there. There was a little bit of a barb to that, they most likely didn't mean "have a nice day." They meant something probably very opposite. But as you're looking at these news articles, I want you to consider the bias. And I want you to do this also in larger context as you're rattling around the internet, even though you won't be writing something about posts on social media. What is the bias of the writer? With social media, there is my wife and I occasionally were part of a group, and we'll get on and do live videos. Now, in the area of biblical studies and religion and things like that, I'm a bit of an expert. I don't know everything, and I'll be the first to tell you that I don't, but I do have some background in it, so there are some arenas where my input carries more weight. There are others where not so much. I'm not going to be giving cooking tips, and I'm certainly not going to be giving makeup tips. Just not in my wheelhouse. So, watch those biases and see how those come to bear. Also, look out for biases in your peer group. I see bias all the time when I grade assignments. And when I read a critical argument that isn't based on fact and is incredibly polemical, and I'll make you look that word up, then that usually tells me that there's a lot of opinion and very little in the realm of scholarship. Remember, in this course, as well as any other college course you take, you're going to be graded on the level of scholarship that you bring to the table. Now, let me give you some information that you may or may not like or appreciate. In the academic community, the level that you're writing at a bachelor's level. I had a instructor tell me this, and it really helped me. He says, Sam, as crass as this sounds, people in the academic community do not care what you have to say as a bachelor's student. They don't really start caring about what you have to say until you're at the doctoral level, and then only in your area of specialty. So that let me know that everything that I said, every opinion that I had, needed to be backed up by experts in those particular fields. So in your writing and in your arguing, keep that in mind, that even though you may think your opinion is valid and valuable, in the larger context, you want to support your arguments with good scholarship, because that's going to give you a stronger argument. Now, when you get to the doctoral level, as some of you may, and you become an expert in a particular field, then when you write something or your published works are cited, then you are considered an expert in that arena. My doctorate is in church leadership, so when I write something in that arena, once my dissertation is published, then I have something to bring to that body of learning. I won't have something to bring to a body of learning that is outside my specialty. Again, my DMin, my Doctor of Ministry, will not be in how to apply cosmetics. You would not want cosmetics advice from yours truly. Trust me. There's a reason I wear a beard. I'm just teasing. A little bit of levity, a little bit of fun. So, identify these biases. And once you know that Fox News has a bias, and CNN has a bias, the Washington Post has a bias, the Grand Forks Herald, where I live, tends to have a bias. There's going to be a slant. And how do those slanted opinions affect the reporting? How does the culture of the paper or the news outlet, how does that color the information that they report? Is the publication, is it slanted toward more of a masculine audience? So there's that masculine or even misogynist type of viewpoint. Is the publication slanted more toward feminism and toward women's rights? Is the publication going to be slanted more toward liberation for women? Things like that, because that's going to color how they report things. Would that everybody would just state their bias up front, and we would be able to have a honest, frank, and civilized discussion about things. Since we're in a Methodist school, how are things slanted toward religion? How are things not? What type of biases come in? I believe in that Scripture is the authoritative rule of faith and conduct, and that I believe in the verbal plenary inspiration of Scripture. I believe that Scripture is accurate in its original manuscripts. So that's going to come across in the way that I speak and the way that I teach. I think by now you guys probably know what flavor I am. So that's going to come across in the way that I write. It's going to come across in the way that I speak. So when you're giving your answers for this week, I want you to present your opinions, but I don't want them to be just as opinion. I want you to do some research. I want you to dig into the topic, and if you close hold of a particular viewpoint, great, but back it up. I want to know what the scholars say, and I want to know how your particular viewpoint is supported by scholarship. And also consider the other side. Why do the other people believe the way that they do, and is their position defensible? Let me give you a great example. I said earlier that I believe in the literal interpretation of Scripture. I believe in the creation story. I believe that God created, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and I believe that the Genesis narrative is true. I have very good friends, Christian and non-Christian, who do not believe that the creation story as rendered in Genesis is true. They have real problems with that. I respect them as colleagues, as good friends, but that's something that we happen to differ on. There are those who believe in Darwin's theory on the beginning of things. My personal belief and bias is that it takes more faith to believe in the evolutionary model because so many things would have to happen for that to be the way things happen. Now, we can't say one way or another because we weren't there. We did not physically observe the cosmos at its origins. So there are some things that we have to take on faith. We're here, we're living, we're breathing. The molecules all work together so that we can take a breath. So those are different types of biases, and the type of bias that exists is going to color whatever viewpoint comes out. But I want to know your thoughts, but I want you to back it up in good scholarship. Let's have a good discussion this week, and I hope this little ramble of mine was helpful. I will get it posted in our course shell and let you know that it's there. Hey, so long for now. Take good care.